Okay, good afternoon, everybody, once again, and I'm so very happy to come back to you a second time or perhaps a third time to talk to you about a different topic today. The area of our discussion today is SWOC analysis for teachers, exclusively for teachers at all levels, schools, colleges, universities, wherever you're working. How does SWOC analysis benefit us? How can we make the most of it? And how we can take advantage of this. So let's move on from here. Let's quickly start working on this. As Professor Narsimlu has already mentioned, we'll try to make it interactive with some personal case studies, your own personal experiences, and then please feel free to unmute yourself. Last time I requested you to have your cameras on, microphones on whenever you want. You can stop me, interrupt me, interact with me, and answer questions, ask questions, whatever. So let's make it as productive as possible. Hope you're all ready. If you're ready, do you mind typing the letter R in the chat box? R stands for ready. Good, 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 good. I see some 5 or 6 people have already responded. Great. Good. If you are far away from the camera, perhaps you cannot do that. Good. I think almost everybody has responded. Wonderful. That's really good. It makes it very interesting. So I'll begin with a very simple question. How many of you would like to be better teachers? Even if you are the best teachers already, you can still become better, because becoming better is a continuous process. It's a lifelong journey. Nobody can ever say, oh, there's nothing for me to achieve any further. So wherever you are, whatever you are, do you all want to be better teachers? I'm sure the answer is yes. I don't need to wait for an answer, because the question is so very obvious and the answer also is so obvious that I'm sure all of you would agree with me that you would like to be better teachers. In case you decide to be better teachers, there must be a good time to start. So when is good time to start? Any answers on that? When is the right time? When is good time to start becoming better? I'm whatever I am, but I would like to be better. When should I start?
Now, sir.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Indu Sukumar. I'm very happy that you've given so quick a response. It can be tomorrow, it can be next year, it can be after 5 years, it can be after I get the next promotion, after I become a professor, whatever. But I think they're all possible answers, but the best time to start is right now. Anything that makes me a better teacher must start today. Why not? So if I start today, perhaps the journey begins, and maybe I'm on the course. The third question, you need not answer me, but I'm going to answer that question in the course of our discussion today. So in case I want to become a better teacher, in case I decide to start today and move on the journey to become a great, better, inspiring, excellent, good teacher. So where should I begin my journey? How should I begin my journey? That's what we are going to discuss today. I think as far as the objective of my presentation today, perhaps it's clear to you. In case I want to become better, and to answer my question, where do I begin? How do I begin? In one sentence, if I can answer that question to all of you, becoming better begins. I think the first step in the process of becoming better is knowing ourselves. Suppose I want to take up a journey, I should know where am I now, and what am I, why am I going there, and then in what direction I'm moving, what takes me there, etc., etc. So the first step is I should know where I am. I should know what I am, right? So knowing myself is the first step in the process of beginning to improving, beginning to become better. So becoming better always begins with looking within, knowing ourselves, right? Assessing our current situation, our current position. So that in another way is called knowing our SWOC. What is that SWOC? We'll come to that. So I'm going to make my presentation in 3 parts, like always I do. I told you last time also that I typically break my presentation into 3 parts. The 3 parts are: what is this, and why do we do this, and how do we do this. I'm going to spend some time on the first part and a lot of time on the last part. The second part perhaps is not known to you, and that's why I don't want to spend much time on that. Perhaps you already know why should we look at ourselves, what should we do to ourselves, and why should we take up a journey to be better. These are the questions that perhaps you already know. Answer to them you already know. So to begin, let me just tell you what is this SWOC. I think most of you already know this answer, but still let me explain to you. S in SWOC stands for strengths, and W in SWOC stands for weaknesses, O for opportunities, and C for challenges. Some people call it SWOT analysis, SWOT, when T stands for threats. Maybe I don't think I need to explain the difference between threats and challenges in case we get stuck somewhere and then we get confused a little. Maybe I'll spend some time discussing that also. But for the time being, let's think that they are synonymous. Maybe we are using them synonymously for the time being. So strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and challenges, that's SWOC. And an analysis of all these four factors, four situations, is SWOC analysis, right? Let's move on. Okay, can you switch on your microphones and try to tell me what exactly is a strength? Anyone? If you raise your virtual hand, I think I can see you and I'll ask you. Otherwise, anyone can just switch on your microphone and tell me what a strength is.
Where we have good knowledge in which area.
Now, good knowledge is an example of a strength. I agree. Thank you, Mr. Ram Naik. So, good knowledge, excellent, in-depth, profound knowledge of the subject is certainly a strength, but that's an example of a strength. But what is it? Indu Kumar, please speak. You can speak, I think.
Yes, sir. Something that comes to me effortlessly.
Something that comes to me, something that happens to me, something I can do effortlessly is a strength. Good. Thank you. Good.
Practice could be because of experience, but something that comes to me effortlessly.
Yeah, because of my experience or because of my comfort, because I've already done this, I do it very effortlessly, and that's why it's a strength. Okay, good. Next, anyone else? Kirtika Sharma says like, it's power. Strength is a power. Gyanendra Kumar?
Sir, with our positive approach, if I am going to do something, it is like my strength.
Okay.
Sir, self-motivation.
Okay. Self-motivation is again an example. It's not the definition or description of what a strength is. Self-motivation, confidence, knowledge that you talked about, all these are examples of strengths. Anyone else? I'm waiting for one more answer.
The ability to transform the knowledge into information, and the ability to motivate, engage, and also encourage students.
Thank you very much. Ability to transform data into information, knowledge into wisdom, and knowledge into application. All these again are wonderful examples of strengths. Let me just tell you my definition or my explanation of what I mean when I call something a strength. So from my point of view, or from today's discussion point of view, a strength is either a capability, an ability, or a resource. But there is a condition there. The condition is I already have it. I'm not going to try and get it tomorrow, but today I have it already. Right now, it's with me. It's a skill, it's an ability, it's a capability, it is a positive resource, either a human resource or a physical resource or a financial resource or anything that I already have. The condition is I already have this. This is either with me or within me. Motivation, skill to motivate, etc. are within me, right? Maybe I have money in my bank that's with me, right? Okay, so it's already with me or within me. But there is another important condition. The condition is it is something that helps me achieve the goals that I've set for myself. I have a goal. I want to do this in life. I want to get this in life. I want to achieve this in my life, or I want to become this in my life. That's my goal. So whatever I have should help me move in that direction, to help me achieve that goal. Only then it becomes a strength. I'll give an example to help you understand this. Suppose I speak good English. As a college teacher, of course, I need to speak good English. If I'm working in an English medium college, or if I'm teaching English, my English must be good. Okay, so I speak good English. So when does it become a strength? It becomes a strength if I'm speaking or if I'm teaching in an English medium college, or if I'm required to speak English on the college campus, if I interact with my students in English, or if I'm required to do that, or if I'm an English teacher. So good English speaking skills is a strength to me. Suppose I speak good English, my English is excellent, but I'm working in a college where English is not needed. All instruction happens in the local mother tongue or local medium or whatever, right? Lingua franca, whatever. So I don't need English. I can speak great English, but I don't need it in the environment in which I am now. So though that's a skill that I have, though that's a capability that I'm already endowed with, it still is not a strength to me in that situation. I think that makes it a little clear. So a strength becomes a strength from a capability, it becomes a strength. From a skill, from being a skill, it becomes a strength only if it helps me achieve my goals, perform a task that has been given me, do something that I want to do, achieve something that I want to achieve, then it becomes a strength. Otherwise, it's just a skill. You have a skill. That skill, in case it's not used, it's not useful, it's not relevant to you, it's not, perhaps it does not help you achieve something that you want to achieve, your goals. It just a skill or a capability. It must be something more than that. Is that clear to you? Any questions on that? I'll wait for a minute if you have any questions. Now, you gave some examples, knowledge, for instance. So knowledge is certainly a strength because it is relevant to you, whatever subject you are teaching. The knowledge of that subject is a strength because as a teacher, you need to have knowledge, you need to use that. And for somebody said, an ability to motivate my students. Yes, it certainly is a strength to you because you are a teacher and one of your jobs is to motivate your students, not only just teaching the content of the topics or the subject that you teach, but also to continuously motivate them, inspire them. And that's why that skill, in case you possess that, it becomes a strength. You gave lots of other examples also. They become strengths in the situation in which you are. I mean, the same example, if I put it a different way, suppose I speak excellent French, but not even one single individual in my college or in my environment or anywhere I work at, perhaps knows or uses French. So my knowledge of French is knowledge, but it's not a strength. Is that clear? Yes or no? Can I have somebody saying yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Thank you very much. That's good. Indu, thank you. So that's a strength. The opposite of that, something that works in contrast to that, is a weakness. I think you can formulate an explanation or a definition of a weakness very easily based on what we have discussed so far. So what is a weakness? It is something that is inside you. Again, a skill or an absence of a skill. A resource or an absence of a resource that is already with you. It's already there. You don't have to try acquiring it tomorrow. It's already there with you. But unfortunately, something that is stopping you from achieving your goals. I want to achieve my goal, but there is something in me, something with me that is stopping me. That's not allowing me to achieve what I want to achieve. I want to go there, but it's stopping me. I want to be the vice chancellor of a university, but it's stopping me. I want to go to the next level in my teaching career. I want to become a professor, but something that is stopping me. I want to achieve this, but stopping me. So anything that prevents you from achieving what you want to achieve, and on condition that it's inside you. You are responsible for that. You have control over that, right? You are managing that. It's because of you that barrier is there. The moment you decide, I don't want this barrier, you can come out of that perhaps easily. But you created that barrier yourself, or maybe you allowed that barrier to develop within you, right? So that kind of a barrier, that kind of a wall that built you first year. Strengths and weaknesses are built by you. You have control over them. You can manipulate them. You can use them. You can exploit them, right? So it's an internal, something inside you and that stands as a barrier. For instance, I can't speak good English. My English is very bad, right? But I'm working in a college where English is essential. I need to speak good English. Otherwise, I think I don't think I can grow up as a teacher. I can continue as a teacher. My career is not a very successful one, right? So, but English isn't, but I have not improved my English. So it's a barrier. I want to become a successful teacher in an English medium university. I am teaching my content, whatever, in English, but my English is bad. I have not made any effort to improve that. That's a weakness. If I do not speak good English and I live in a place where English is not needed, it's not a weakness. Though I cannot speak good English, absolutely it's not necessary. There are hundreds of things that I don't know, I don't own, I don't have, but they are not needed also. Then they are not weaknesses. They are just absence of skills, that's all. I think you have to understand this. So when you define a strength or weakness, so one or two conditions, they are inside you, they are already with you, and they are either encouraging you, promoting you, helping you progress in your career and helping you achieve your goals, or they are stopping you from achieving your goals. Both are inside you. Right. Any questions? Good. If there are no questions, let's move on. I think the photograph tells you a little an opportunity. So apart from strengths and weakness, we should also know what opportunities are. What's an opportunity? Can anybody explain what an opportunity is? Please unmute yourselves. Would anyone like to
Opportunity
answer?
means to do something which is ready to occupy or to achieve something.
Okay, to achieve something. Okay. Anyone else? Ram Naik, thank you.
A chance.
Sorry, Yendu, yes, please.
A chance.
A chance. Okay, that's I think the routine meaning of the word opportunity, chance, they are synonyms. But I'm asking you to explain to me what's an opportunity. For instance, a college teacher, you are a university teacher. So what's an opportunity for you?
Available facilities, sir. Available facilities.
Your faculties.
Facilities.
Okay. Yeah. Faculties are abilities, thought processes.
A promotion would be an opportunity.
Indu, you have to speak a little louder, please.
A promotion would be an opportunity.
Promotion of what?
Post, or maybe from assistant professor to
Okay. I'll make it a little easier for you to answer my question. Strengths and weaknesses are within us. So my strengths are within me, my weaknesses are within me. Where are the opportunities?
For external.
They are external. Thank you very much, Ram. So they are external, they're outside me. I have not created them. I'm not responsible for them, and I cannot easily manipulate them. I have limited control over them. They are external, they're outside. That's why I put a picture of a window there. So the opportunity is outside. So all opportunities are external situations that could provide you an advantage, right? A competitive advantage over others on one condition, provided you know how to leverage them, how to use them. There is an opportunity. Window is an opportunity. Window itself is an opportunity. If you open the window, there is an opportunity available. There is light available there. There is wind available there. So if you close the window, it's not there. Though it's there, you cannot use it. So opportunities are external situations. They are, unlike in the case of strengths and weaknesses, they're not already with you. They are perhaps there tomorrow, or they are there after a minute. They are perhaps there a year later, 10 years later. They are not now, they are tomorrow. And they're not within you, they are outside you. In case you know how to use them, they can turn out to be excellent, helpful tools that get an advantage over the others to you. Competitive advantage. You stand higher than others if you know how to utilize them. So anything that happens in the outside world, for instance, a decision taken by your college, for instance, some policy change that happens at the government level, something that happens in the environment outside, something that is demographically evolving, right? Something that happens because of the political developments, right? So you have very little control over them. There are situations which are happening outside, something that happens, I mean, not because of you, but because of the things happening in the world. But there can be advantages to you if you know how to use them. The new education policy is coming into force. So there are some policies, some decisions, some opportunities that are available there to you, but you must be ready to accept them. Okay, maybe I think we are still at the beginning of the presentation. Perhaps you will get a little more clearer about them as we go forward. Right. And the opposite of opportunities are challenges. I think, what picture is that you see on the screen? What picture is that?
Mathematical term alpha, beta, gamma.
I asked you the
Oh,
picture.
corona.
What picture is that? Ah, thank you very much. Thank you. So Corona is an example of a challenge that threw up, and we did not create it. None of us is responsible for that. It just came and it impacted us. It worked like a challenge to all of us. So it's again an external situation which we did not create, right? Something else created it, and which damaged our scope for success. So it harmed our interests. And similarly, lots of things are happening around in the world which are continuously standing like challenges. And if we don't know how to handle them, or if we don't work preemptively, if we don't prevent them, whenever we can prevent, if we can prevent them, or whenever we can work preemptively, if we take advanced steps to ward them off, they can damage the scope of your success. Right? So such situations are called challenges. Maybe if you see the next slide, perhaps it will be easier for you to understand them. Strengths and weaknesses are inside you. Clear? Yes, I think. Strengths are green in color. That means they are inherently good. They are good to you. Strengths are good to you. And weaknesses also are inside you, but they are inherently bad. Strengths are good, weaknesses are bad, both are inherent. What do they relate to? They relate to the resources that you have, your performance, your abilities, your skills, the values that you have, right? For instance, punctuality. Somebody is very punctual, somebody is lazy. So if you are punctual, it can be a strength to you. If you are lazy, perhaps it can turn out to be a weakness to you, right? Your goals, the goals that you've set yourself, all these are inside you. Right? We are not talking about the resources outside. I'm talking about the resources that you already have with you or within you. Right? The values that you adhere to. Right? Values are not outside. Values are within you. You adhere to them. Right? You have an allegiance to some values. Right? Honesty, for instance, if you are an honest person, so that's a value that you have, and that can be a strength or whatever. I mean, depending on the situation, right? So similarly, the goals that these are all internal. Then on the other hand, there are opportunities and challenges which are outside you. Again, opportunities are green in color. They are potentially good, not inherently. Potentially, they may do you good if you know how to use them. Challenges are potentially bad. Potentially means they may turn out to be bad if you don't know how to handle them or how to prevent them. How to take some preventive measures to stop them from happening. Okay, so opportunities are outside and potentially good. Challenges also are outside and are potentially bad. Like strengths and weaknesses relate to resources, performance, values, goals, etc. Opportunities and challenges relate to what is happening in the political world, what's happening in the economic world, what's happening in the environment outside, what's happening in legislation. If something happens in parliament, if something happens in legislative assembly, it may impact us positively or negatively. That is either an opportunity or a challenge. The decisions that you take are strengths or weaknesses because they are happening inside you, right? So the competition, you are not responsible. How many people are there in the world? Say maybe you apply for one job, there are 500 people applying for that job. So you do not have any control over that remaining 499 people. We don't know whether they are better than you, whether they are worse than you, whether they affect your chances, etc. All these things are dependent on other factors. So I think this one slide, if you remember, perhaps whatever I would like to discuss with you today, it will be easy for you to understand. So to repeat, strengths and opportunities are positive, weaknesses and challenges are negative. Strengths and weaknesses are inherent inside, and opportunities and challenges are outside. Strengths and weaknesses are now already with you, and opportunities and challenges, they could affect you in course of time. They are likely to happen to us. They may happen to us. In case when they happen, they may impact us positively and negatively depending upon how we take them, what they are. I'm launching a poll question. Just give your vote. Can you see a poll question on your? The question is: you left the university long time ago, a decade ago, and have not done anything to either upskill yourself or update your knowledge, improve your teaching skills.
Let me understand this question. Left university as in did I quit working in a university or did I graduate?
You are continuing. You are a teacher now. You are a college teacher now. You are working in a college, but you have not updated or upskilled.
But I don't teach anymore.
You teach. You are in a college. You left university as a student. I mean, as a student, and then you got a job. You became a teacher. Now you are. Okay, what I'll do is perhaps I'll end the poll here. And of the 9 people who have voted, I'm showing the results to you. 5 people said it is a weakness, and 4 people said it's a challenge. So I have a very simple question for you. You left the university as a student long ago. You got a job. You became a teacher. You are continuing as a teacher now for 10 years. You've been working as a teacher, and you have not upskilled. That means you have not done any further diploma, a PhD, or a graduate course, a postgraduate course, or any other course, or whatever, a teaching skills, or whatever. You're not improved. So how can that be a challenge? Who is responsible for that? Are you responsible for that? Is the world responsible for that?
I am responsible, sir.
So if we are responsible, it's either a strength or a weakness, not an opportunity or challenge. Opportunities and challenges are outside us. We are not responsible for them. We don't create them. We cannot easily handle them. We cannot easily manipulate them. But strengths and weaknesses are things that we have control over. If I wanted, I could upskill myself. If I wanted, I could update myself. If I wanted, I could do one more diploma or something. So I did not do that. So it is certainly not a challenge or an opportunity. It is either a strength or a weakness. If it have to decide whether it is a strength or weakness, is it negative or positive? It's negative. And that's why it's a weakness. So I think maybe this poll perhaps has helped you look at it a little closer, and then maybe it's helping you understand it better. Okay, what we'll do is we'll just check one more question. Okay, the next question on the screen, it says a new university is looking for experienced teachers. You are already experienced. You have some 4 years, 5 years, 2 years service experience already. And there is another university, something that apart from where you're working. So what is it to you? Yes, or W, or O, or C?
I didn't get the question actually.
The question is, you are working in a college and you already have some experience, and you come to know, you have seen an advertisement that there is another university opening in your neighborhood and they are looking for teachers like you.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, I'm stopping because no more votes are coming. I'm ending the poll and I'm showing you the results. Tanushree also says it's an opportunity. So 3 answers in the chat box plus 8 votes. It makes it 11 votes in favor of opportunity and 1 vote which calls it a strength. I don't think by any means it's a strength, because you have not opened the university, you have not created a new job, and I have not told you what skills do you have to apply for that job. Manohar also had said opportunity. Thank you. So some 12, 13 people have said it's an opportunity. Yes, it is an opportunity because there is a university which somebody else, the government perhaps, has opened it. And in case I know how to use that, in case I apply for that job, there is an opportunity for me. I may get selected or not, that's a different thing. That's an opportunity. It depends on lots of other factors as well. But right now, as of now, in case I apply there, in case I get that job, in case I could work there, that's a good opportunity for me. It was not a very difficult question, actually. Let's move on to the third one. The third one slightly more difficult, but I'm sure you will be able to do it, because we have discussed the first two questions. I think it helps you understand the third question. The third question is periodic skills upgradation. Periodic means once in a while, now and then, every 3 months, every 6 months, every year, every 2 years. Skills upgradation will soon be made compulsory for all in-service teachers. I've been working as a teacher. Every 2 years, you must do a course. Every 2 years, you must acquire some diploma. Every 2 years, you must earn some points. So it's mandatory. Otherwise, we'll stop your increment. Otherwise, we'll stop your promotion. Otherwise, we'll not give you something. The government says that. Government says every 2 years you must do this. Every 1 year you must do this. Every year you must go through the appraisal, for instance. So some such thing. A policy decision. Or your principal says, unless you do a course like this, the one that you are attending, orientation program, if you don't do an orientation program every year, or a refresher course or whatever, so you are not eligible for the next increment or whatever. So it's mandatory. Mandatory means compulsory. Stop the poll here and then show you the results. The results are 7 of you said that's a challenge and 2 of you said it's an opportunity. And I agree with both of you, all 9 of you. Whether you call it an opportunity or a challenge, perhaps it's your perspective, because there cannot be any fixed answer to that. So it's mandatory. It's mandatory means some people get excited. Yes, I have an opportunity to do one more course because it's compulsory now. I'll do my B.Ed, I'll do my M.Ed, I'll do that postgraduate diploma, I'll do one more post-graduation. So I'll do my PhD. So they think that it's a wonderful opportunity for us to upgrade ourselves. So that's why they consider it an opportunity. Someone says, oh, what is this? I've already got a job. I'm a postgraduate. I'm a PhD. And what is this? Every 2 years I have to do something. No, I can't read further. And why this diploma again? I've already become a teacher. I've already gone through that whole process of selection. So some people may call it a challenge or something unnecessary. So it depends on our perspective, how we take it. The situation is the same. For some people, it is a challenge. For some people, it is an opportunity. So don't think our answers always need to be uniform. We all need not consider something as the same kind of situation for everybody. What is a challenge to me may be an opportunity to you. What is an opportunity to be may be a challenge to you. So it differs from one person to another. The last question, and a little more complex. You have to apply your mind, you have to think carefully, and you have to answer this question. I'm already giving a clue that it's not easy like the earlier ones. So it's slightly more difficult. The question is here. The question is, your personal library, the library that you have at home, has fewer volumes of books than many of your colleagues. There are 10 people in your department. For instance, you are a physics teacher. There are 10 lecturers or professors in your college, and you have some physics books, some books in your library, and the other 9 also have some books in their libraries, and the number of books that you have is less than what others have.
So does this fall under strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges?
I'm asking you the question. You have to answer me the question. In case you have any other questions, perhaps we'll discuss them. Sure.
I don't think it falls under any of these 4 categories.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your opinion. only one person has voted, or two people have voted. Now it's three. So the question I'm explaining to you while you are trying to answer that question. So you have a personal library. Other lecturers also have personal libraries, but your library has fewer books than what others have. If they have 100 books at their home, they have only 50 books. Right. So because some 8 or 9 people have voted, I'm ending the poll and I'm showing the results. The results are 4 people have said weakness, 2 have said it's an opportunity, 2 have said it's a challenge. But I would like to go with Indu Sukumar and tell you that this question is just irrelevant. This question is, not a very valid question to discuss SWOC analysis, because there are many things that are not actually stated there. Let's take the same example. I am a physics lecturer, and then there are 9 other physics lecturers in my college. There are 10 of us. So I have 50 books, and they have 100 books. How can it affect my strengths or weakness or opportunities? Suppose I have 50 books, because the sentence does not say whether they are subject related, or maybe the 50 books that I have perhaps are novels, not related to my subject. The 100 books they have maybe subject related, possible. Or the 50 books that I have are subject related, and the 100 books they have are irrelevant or useless. Or, okay, all are subject related. I have 50 physics books, they have 150 physics books. I read them, they don't read. Or they read, I don't read. So just having books is neither a strength nor a weakness. It's neither enough. It's of course an opportunity. Opportunity because the books are there. The books are there outside in my almirah. It's an opportunity. I have access to them. The very fact that I have access to them is of course an opportunity. But that's all. Not beyond that. Nothing beyond that. Because of course, it certainly is not a challenge. I don't know why somebody said it's a challenge. What's the challenge in having books? Whether it's 50 books or 100 books, it's just with you. That's all. But even if you have one book also at home, and it is just an opportunity. That's all. Why is it a weakness? If it's a weakness, if both of you are reading, both of you have good books, both of you have similar books, both of you are trying to equip yourself, and because you have no access to all the books that others have, then only it becomes a weakness. So, this question is difficult. The conclusion is that we cannot just jump and say, oh, this is a strength for everybody. No. Like the beginning of my session today, even good English speaking skills need not always be a strength to everybody. Just having a good library of books need not be an opportunity to everybody. It becomes an opportunity only when we, I don't know if you remember that, what I wrote, if leveraged, if effectively leveraged, there was a condition. So if effectively leveraged, it can become an opportunity. If not used, I think it's outside the window, but I've never opened the window. Nothing. It does not affect me at all. It's neither a strength, nor a weakness, nor an opportunity, nothing. An opportunity perhaps lost because I did not open it. Right? But it does not affect my situation. Okay. Right. Thank you. I'm moving on from here. This we've seen. So let's quickly move on to the second part of my presentation. Why should we do a SWOC analysis? Before I show you any answers, maybe some of you can tell me what's the advantage of doing this SWOC analysis? Why should we do it?
To understand our own selves, sir.
Great, thank you. Why should we understand
So we
ourselves?
can
What's
work
the use?
upon our weaknesses and improve our strengths.
Great, excellent. Thank you, Varsha. Thank you very much. So if we know our weaknesses, we work on them. Good. Anyone else?
To use the opportunities and
Sorry.
to use the opportunities when
Yeah, if we know our opportunity, we can use them. Good. So if we know our strengths, what's the advantage? If we know our weaknesses, what's the advantage? If we know our opportunities, what's the advantage? If we know our challenges, what's the advantage? So the advantage is, suppose I know my strengths, I can further capitalize on them. These are my strengths. I speak good English, and these are the opportunities available for me. If I further work on this, or if I utilize my skill of speaking good English, I can capitalize on this. So I know I'm good at it, and that's because I'm good at it, this is the area where I can shine. This is the area where I can prosper. This is the field in which I can succeed. So strengths need to be capitalized, right? They must be used in such a way that you can further build on it. You can strengthen your strengths. You can further strengthen your strengths if you know them, right? If you don't know, you're blind to your own strength. There are lots of people, especially among your students. You just check. Many of them can do wonderful things, but they don't know. A student who knows painting, for instance, does not know that she can be a good painter. Many times I've seen in my life, in my career, young students do not know their strengths. Unfortunately, they're blind to their strengths. And if you know your weaknesses, you can always have a strategy to overcome them. Oh, this is one area where I'm lagging behind. I'm not able to do this. My English is bad. If I know my English is bad, I can try a strategy to improve my English speaking skills. Suppose I don't know my English is bad. Nobody has told me, or I don't know, because I don't know what, I don't do anything to it. So there must be a way to know my weaknesses, and not only knowing my weaknesses, but also building a strategy to overcome my weaknesses. Very important. I think absolutely essential for anybody. If the first slide that I showed you asked us that question, if I want to be a better teacher, if I decide to improve myself, one of the first things that I should do is to know myself, reflect, understand my own strengths and weakness, etc., so that I can have an appropriate strategy. So then, if I know my opportunities, I can open the window. Yes, here is an opportunity. I welcome you. You're knocking on the door. Yes, I'm ready to accept you. Exploit them. Make the most of them. The new education. I gave the example of the new education policy just now. So if there is a new education policy, so if I know what are the contents of that, what are the changes that are going to happen, how it's going to impact the careers of teachers like me, so I have a ready-made plan now. So yes, here is my opportunity. I just gave you that example of another university opening in my neighborhood. So if I know that there is a university there and there are opportunities for people like me, then I can exploit that. If I keep my eyes closed, the opportunity comes and goes. Somebody said, opportunities do not knock repeatedly at your door. They knock once and go away. If you're not alert, you miss them. Then, surviving the challenges. If you know your challenges, you can survive them. You can prevent them sometimes, some, not all. You can prevent some of the, for instance, I gave you the example of Corona, for instance. Corona, the pandemic. When the pandemic came, so we could prevent ourselves from contracting it. So if I have a strategy, so I wear a mask, I don't go out, I do this, I don't do this. So by taking these precautions, I can survive the challenge. If I am negligent, if I am careless, so I get afflicted. So surviving the challenge. Because there is a challenge outside, I take precautions. So what's going to happen to my career tomorrow? Will teachers still be needed tomorrow? For instance, there is a talk of online education, distance education, then technology, a lot of technology. Then we are talking about on flipped learning, and then we're talking about blended learning. So many other concepts have come. No? So will a teacher's job be still relevant tomorrow? If a teacher's job is relevant, so what care should I take? So there is a challenge. So tomorrow I may lose my job because of that technology. Will it happen? So what should I do? I must update my technical skills so that I can be a teacher using technology. A teacher using technology can substitute a teacher not using technology. A teacher's job is never obsolete. I don't think there'll be a world anytime, even a million years later, I don't think there'll be a time when teachers are not needed. Teachers have to teach us, teachers have to teach computers, teachers have to teach robots, teachers have to teach the technical machinery, whatever. There must be somebody to teach whatever, right? So if we are not directly teaching the students, perhaps we are teaching the machines that teach, isn't it? So that's why a teacher's job does not become irrelevant or obsolete, but we have to overcome that challenge. We have to exploit that challenge. Survive that challenge. How do we do that? By updating ourselves, by upskilling ourselves, by constantly making ourselves better teachers, right? Making an endeavor, making an effort to become better. And we can always be proactive. Proactive is the opposite of reactive. So it's not a good idea to wait for something to happen and react to that, right? Like prevention is better than cure. So being proactive means, so you can visualize the challenges that you are likely to face tomorrow, and you have a strategy ready in place. So in case that happens, I am ready like this. In case that happens, I am ready like this. So you have a strategy ready. That is proactive. So teachers can be proactive if they know the situation around. So what's happening in New Zealand, what's happening in America, perhaps you may not pay much attention to that, but they can be relevant to you. Somebody said Saudi Arabia has lots of teaching positions available today. So if I know that, so that is, for the time being, that's an opportunity to me in case I want to go there, and if I want to work as a teacher outside India, and if I want to go to a place like Saudi Arabia, and because my subject is in great demand there and teachers are in demand there, so that's an opportunity. But if I also know that there are some issues that I cannot handle, or there are some situations I cannot overcome, my family does not allow me, I don't have the money to go there, I don't have the necessary knowledge to face an interview, or I don't teach a subject that's in demand there, well, that's a challenge to me. Whatever, I have to have a proactive policy, a proactive strategy. And finally, SWOC analysis helps me take good decisions. Maybe this picture at the left. Would anybody like to explain this picture at the left? Why is this picture relevant here?
Step by step, achieving, he become the king.
Yeah. Every pawn does not become a queen. Every pawn has the potential to become a queen. It has the potential. It can become a queen provided the player uses the right approach, or it gets that opportunity. If it gets the opportunity, it has the strength within, it has the potential within to become a queen. It also has several weaknesses. The pawn also has several weaknesses. It has some strengths, but it has an opportunity. It also has a challenge. Anywhere in between, it can be thrown out of the board. It can be killed, right? The pawn gets decimated from the board. So all these things. So a pawn has the potential to become a queen provided it's proactive, provided it takes the right steps and it uses all the strengths that it has and reaches the other side of the board. And of course, chess game. But in life, as a teacher, suppose I have a goal. What is my goal? My goal is to start a college of my own. My goal is to become the head of my department. My goal is to become the vice chancellor of a university. Maybe I think all of you, last time I saw some of you, you are all in your 30s and 40s, perhaps, maybe very young teachers. So maybe by the time you are 55, 60, perhaps there'll be lots of universities in India, and every university will have a vice chancellor's position. And suppose you have that vision today. So I want to become the vice chancellor of a university. So what will you do? You will start taking the right steps from today onwards. Right? You will move your steps in appropriate. So you will first assess yourself. What are the strengths? What are the required qualifications, skills, abilities to become a vice chancellor? So which ones do I already have? Which ones do I need to build further? So what opportunities do I have? What challenges may I have to face? So if I have a strategy like that, perhaps it becomes very easy for me to move ahead. So the picture tells us that the potential is there. The pawn can rise to become a queen, provided it meets certain conditions and it finds itself in that situation and it takes the right steps. It knows how to capitalize its strengths and overcome its weaknesses and exploit all the wonderful opportunities that it gets. Perhaps it can scale up that ladder and grow. So that's about SWOC, why we do this SWOC analysis. Maybe it's a summary of what I have told you. So a SWOC analysis is a situational analysis. It's a tool that helps us evaluate our internal strengths and internal weaknesses. It evaluates our external opportunities and external challenges, and it helps us take better decisions and gives us a competitive advantage in all. So this is the summary of what I have so far been telling you. So this is SWOC analysis. Now the last part of my presentation, and the most important, of course. Okay, I understand what SWOC is. I also know why I should attempt a SWOC of myself as a teacher to help me grow up in my career. But how do I do this? Are there any tools available? Are there any easy appliances that I can use to attempt an analysis of my own? So how do I do that? Is the next step. So how is the last part, but the most important part of my presentation. So if I can answer that question in one single sentence, SWOC analysis effectively can be done if we know the art of asking lots of questions. The one who asks the most questions is the fittest to do a SWOC analysis. So what is SWOC analysis? SWOC analysis is asking myself lots of questions. Looking within is not just silently watching myself, but asking myself lots of questions. That's some kind of analysis, some kind of reflection, some kind of, review, discovery, etc. But discoveries can happen only when we ask questions. The one who asks the most questions is the one who is the most successful in doing this SWOC analysis. What kind of questions and all that is what we are going to see next. Okay. In fact, you can read the questions quietly and then you can see what are a few questions that will help me know my strengths. I want to know my strengths, right? If I want to know my strengths, so there must be a set of questions that help me identify my strengths, discover my strengths. So there is a list there. There are some 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 6 questions on the screen. Just take 1 or 2 examples. So take the first one, for instance. What are my unique skills? What are my unique qualifications? They're all my strengths. Something only I can do in this situation, others perhaps cannot do, or I can do better than others, is certainly a strength. Suppose in a college there are 50 lecturers, and then out of these 50 lecturers, there are a few things that only you can do. For instance, you can organize a program well. You can plan an academic excursion for your students well. For instance, I told you, you can speak the best English in your college. Suppose your writing skills are very good, you can draft a letter, nobody else can do. So something in a given situation, you are the best at it. You have some unique skill. Unique means only you can, right? You are the only one who is equipped with some skills, some resources that others do not have. That is certainly a strength for you. But take another example. What unique resources can you access? The third one. So are there any resources that you can access easily, others cannot access? Or you have greater, for instance, we talked about a personal library. So there is a book, there is a whole compendium of knowledge available to me, right? And I have access to that resource. It can be money, it can be knowledge, it can be physical resources, it can be human resources. What are human resources? For instance, I have a good mentor, for instance. There is a senior lecturer, senior teacher in my department whom I trust, and then she is very helpful and she is my mentor. I consider her my mentor. Whenever I have a question, I go to her and she helps me, and she is very friendly with me. And we have built a bond, mentor and a mentee bond between us. And whenever I have a question, I can seek help from her. So that is a unique resource that I have. Maybe there are other people in the department who have not used this rich resource available. It was an opportunity which has turned out to be my strength because I've built a bond already with her, and this bond helps me access support, knowledge, motivation, whatever. So it's already available with me, already available to me. So it's a strength. Don't say, sir, that mentor is outside, Sir, how can that be a strength? That's an opportunity. It was an opportunity, but I started using it. I built trust, I built a bond, and now it's available to me. It's accessible to me. And because I said it's with you or within you. It need not always be inside you. It will be with you. I have this access. A book outside also, knowledge that you gained from the book becomes your strength. Book unused is just an opportunity lost. So things means can be resources, it can be skills, it can be qualifications, it can be equipment, it can be money, it can be your family, it can be the head of your institution, any person or any object that you have access to, and you have built a bond with that, and it's readily available to you whenever you want it, is a strength. Take one more example. What do people praise you for? So maybe your students praise you for something. Madam, you do this well. You teach this subject very well. So that means I am good at that subject. Not one student. Many students have told me. Some of my colleagues have told me this. Even very simple things like your tone is good, your intonation is good, your language is good, the way you write at the board is good. So if 10 people tell me that I write, the way I manage the blackboard is very effective, so then that gives me convincing evidence that I have a strength here. What is that strength? Using the board, using the blackboard. Using the blackboard is a strength because I'm a teacher. I need to use that. I need to know how to. To tell you something from my own personal life, when I was doing my postgraduate diploma, I had one teacher who, by the time, he never used to erase the board during the class, and then he would use the board, and everything that he would write on the board, he would pre-plan. And perhaps he would work on a piece of paper, and then he would keep that in mind, and he would come. Everything he would write it so very neatly, cleanly, perfectly, properly, that at the end of the class, if you just take one picture, those days, of course, we don't have cameras. In case you took one picture of that, or if you copied that in your notebook, I think you will understand everything. The whole 1 hour class will be easy to grasp. It was so good. Everything you would just convert into some kind of a word picture. Something like a tree diagram. So it was so good. So how we use the board itself can be a strength. Right? Our good handwriting can be a strength. Simple things, very little things. They can be very, very big things also. If, for instance, somebody right at the beginning of the class, somebody said, in-depth knowledge of the subject. How deep is my knowledge of the subject? So if I'm a statistics teacher, and then if I've learned the subjects that I teach absolutely thoroughly, that can be a great strength for a teacher. What can be a greater strength than knowing the subject competently and proficiently and in detail, profoundly? So knowing the subject content, knowing the teaching skills, for instance, not all can handle classes effectively. There are some teachers who have either gone through a course or learned by experience or aptitudinally. They are equipped with some skills which help them handle their classes very, very effectively. Students love to listen to them. So that's a wonderful strength. So the first thing that I need to do is I have to ask myself lots of, what do people praise me for? What are some achievements that I'm very proud of? And then what are some unique skills that I have? What are the subjects that I can teach best? And what am I really, really good at? Is there anything that I can do better than all my colleagues and others? So is there something that is a unique strength to me? So if you have answers to these questions, you will begin realizing your strengths. And once you know your strengths, of course, you can capitalize on them. Maybe I'll stop for a minute in case you have any questions, please ask. Anybody, any question? Okay, before I show you the next slide, or perhaps we'll break after that, we'll stop after that. Here are some examples of some strengths. So they are, it's not a comprehensive, complete list of strengths, and they may not all be relevant to teachers, but I've just made a list. So knowledge is a strength. Your good health is a strength, isn't it? Suppose your teacher has good health, you need to stand and then move around and physically energetic in your class for sometimes 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. when I do my training programs, most of them are 6 hours long, my teacher training programs. And all those 6 hours, I'm standing and moving around, and then physically, I need to be quite energetic. So if my physical health is good, that's a strength to me. The moment I fall sick, or the moment I feel weak, and if I cannot move about the class, if I feel like sitting down and then delivering a lecture, I think my teaching efficiency to that extent will reduce. So being healthy, being enthusiastic, being adaptable, flexible, being structured, organized. So being cheerful, in the second row you see cheerful, sympathetic to my students, empathetic to them, being witty, being energetic, being friendly, right? All being self-confident, not overconfident, being self-confident, being having an ability to persuade people, motivate people, inspire people, being open-minded. Students give all kinds of answers, right? Sometimes we need to be open-minded to accept all of them. Don't think there is only one correct answer to questions. Many times questions have multiple correct answers. In fact, I told you in one of my earlier sessions that we must make our sections so very open-ended that any number of correct answers are possible. Tech savvy, the last one. So teachers must be tech savvy. Anyone who does not update oneself on technology is not likely to survive the modern race. So teachers must be constantly upgrading themselves on technical skills. So all these are examples. I mean, as I told you already, this is not the complete list. This is only a sample list of typical strengths for academicians, for teachers, and maybe I think all of us need to have these skills as well as many, many others. Maybe I'd like to ask you to spend some 2-3 minutes reading the example strengths of an imaginary teacher, some teacher. I means anyone, it can be you also. So suppose you have things like this, you can say these are your strengths. Shall I get in teaching methods? That's just because I've already done a B.Ed course, a NEMED course, or a diploma in teaching, some such thing, where I'm equipped with teaching skills, classroom management skills. So, good, that's a strength, because that is unique to me, or I can do it better than others, or I can do it quite effectively. I have critical thinking skills, analytical thinking skills, creative thinking skills. All these are, I think, useful strengths for teachers. Maybe most of them are strengths for anybody. The second one, I have excellent communication skills. Teachers must have good communication, not just language. It's a lot of other things also. It's good language, good body language, good tone, good intonation, good energy. All those things together become communication skills. So if you have good communication skills, you are likely to succeed as a teacher much easier, much faster, much better. Okay, what we'll do is now, I request you to take your notebooks and maybe take 2 minutes time and then write down maybe 1, 2, 5, 10, as many as you want, your strengths. Like you saw in the previous slide, they are somebody's strengths. But what are your strengths? Your academic strengths, as far as possible, academic, teaching related. So please make a list. What I'll do is, I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. I'll create some 4 breakout rooms. And what you do is I'll give you some 5-6 minutes time, 6 minutes. I'll give you 6 minutes time. And before you go into the breakout rooms, let me tell you, each of you, whatever strengths you have listed for yourself. So you discuss with others, you tell others what are you good at, what do you think your strengths are. Listen to each other. There'll be some 5 or 6 people in each room, I think, if all of you are participating. And you tell each other, I'll enter your room sometime and then exit, but you will be there constantly, and talk to each other and narrate or list your strengths. Everyone will list one's own strengths, others will listen, right, in whatever order. Okay, I'm opening the rooms. Please please enter the rooms. I'd like to share the strengths listed by somebody else in your room. Whom did you listen to and what were their strengths?
So, three of us were in that platform. So it was very common strength. Three of us, our strength is quite common, since three of us is new to this academy. So it was right, like having this command over the subject, teaching skills, since we are new to this field. So these are the two skills that we found.
Thank you, Tanushree. Anyone else? Did you find anything interesting when you spoke to others, or were there any things common among you? Were there any serious
in our room? Yeah, fellow participants, they spoke. They told their strength. They have good academic records. They have good communication skills. They are young and they are healthy. So on.
Good, great, very interesting. So you've begun realizing what your strengths are, or perhaps you already knew them, but you did not put them very formally. But once you started looking at yourself, you started discovering your own strengths. I think they will do a good job to you in case you formalize them, if you put them on paper, and if you start further capitalizing on them. Anyone else would like to say anything? Any other room?
So we lost a bit of
Sandhya,
time
yeah.
thinking that you would join back.
I was moving from one room to another.
I see.
Sandhya Rani, I think you spoke to me in your room and then you said what your strengths are. What are they?
Sir, other people, and I listen with patiently. These are
An
my
ability to listen also can be a great strength, because teachers need to listen to. They must have the patience to listen to students and then comprehend them, appreciate that. Wonderful. Who else was there in your room, Sandhya?
sir.
Was there anybody else in your room?
With my baby, sir, my 3-year-old baby.
It's okay. Varsha, you were saying something. I stopped you. I think I'm sorry. Varsha?
No, sir. I just said that, we were all of us could not complete because, we wasted a little bit of time thinking that you would join back.
Oh, I see.
So
I'm sorry.
Atisha was not able to say anything, and I think Jnanendra.
Dinesh sir. Jnanendra sir said. Dinesh sir.
Dinesh Singh, I think he also did not get an opportunity to say.
Dinesh, are you there now?
I am here.
Would you like to tell us your strengths?
Sir, as a teacher, I have a content knowledge and capability to motivate students, and I am also capable to entertain students, and I am very tolerant and very active and enthusiastic person.
Great. I think tolerance is an excellent skill, both as a teacher and as a human being. I think being tolerant perhaps works wonders in life. It can be within the family, it can be outside, it can be on the college campus, wherever. As a human being, I think perhaps the sign of the greatest awakening of life is tolerance. Tolerance perhaps is the greatest of the values and skills.
Sir, Atisha was saying something when we left.
Yeah, please
Hi.
continue.
Yes, sir. So I feel that I have positive outlook to things, and I'm good at communicating with students.
Excellent.
And also I'm a good listener, I feel, sir.
Yeah, listening skills and speaking skills make a great combination for teachers. If you're good with listening and good at speaking, I think half of your work is already done. Knowing the subject knowledge and then ability to communicate is perhaps one of the most important areas for a teacher to focus on, and that ensures success. Gunjan, are you there? Gunjan Agarwal? No.
I think Crenio also didn't get a chance to speak. We were not of us. Crenio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name right.
I can't see all of you on my screen, but if anyone else.
Yeah, I think she's there. Cranium, yes.
Yes, Indu ma'am, I can hear you. Yes, I've not been able. Before I could say, we had come back to this meeting. So my strength, as Indu ma'am was saying in the group, I also find it very difficult to come up with my own strength. But two things that I can think of is being friendly with the students and being able to communicate with the students.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you. I appreciate this first sentence that you said. It's difficult to come up with a list of my strengths. I really appreciate that, because whenever people ask us to talk about our strengths, we just typically we repeat a few things that we've heard elsewhere. We say, "Oh, my English is good. My classroom management skills are good. My listening skills are good. My tolerance is good. My honesty is good," etc., etc. But I think we cannot just jump to conclusions like that. How do you arrive at that? Who told you, or what made you realize that you are tolerant, for instance? Can you think of some instances when you demonstrated tolerance? Can you think of some instances where people appreciated you for your listening skills? Can you think of some situations where you were the only one chosen to be a good communicator in your college? So there must be some evidence. No, it must be based on facts. It's not just blind faith, or it just maybe unscientifically arrived at facts. So in case I claim something to be my strength, it must be based on some of the questions that I gave you earlier. In case perhaps those questions have, how many people have praised me for my listening skills, for instance? Did my mother tell me that I'm a good listener? Did my husband tell me that I'm a good listener? Did my child tell me that I'm a good listener? Did my students tell me I'm a good listener? So typically, so if 10 people told me, 20 people told me, 15 people told me, then I begin realizing that I thought I was a good listener, and also there is evidence to believe that I am a good listener. So it must be based on facts. It must be objective. It must not be an overestimation. It must not be an underestimation. Arriving at a list of our strengths is not an easy task. Not just, of course, I did not give you much time, but it needs an effort. You need to arrive at the list based on lots of evidence. You must have some convincing evidence to believe that what you have listed is true. Okay, right. So that is about the strengths, and it's 3:30 now. Maybe we'll break for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I think 15 minutes is the break time, I think. So we'll break for 15 minutes and we'll reassemble at 3:45. Okay, we'll move on from there. Is that okay? Somebody to... Okay, let's move on. We have seen how to assess our strengths, what questions help us look within and then identify, discover our strengths, and perhaps we need a strategy to further capitalize on them that we'll perhaps postpone to the last part of my presentation. We also have discussed our personal strengths with each other, and we have a list now which can be further refined when we apply our minds to each one of those strengths, and then subjecting ourselves to a stricter, closer analysis of how strong we are with those strengths. Let's move on. The second situation that needs to be analyzed is our weaknesses. So what are our weaknesses? Again, a list of questions. So what does this list of questions do? This list of questions helps us look within, ask ourselves, reflect, and identify what are our weaknesses. So some of the questions that we can ask ourselves, for instance, is there a skill, is there a resource that I need to further build on? I'm already a good user of English, but is there any scope for me to further improve my English language speaking and writing skills? So a skill that I have, but needs further enhancement. So just because I'm good with something, suppose somebody said, I'm a good listener, but is there still any scope for me to improve being a better listener? So it is a strength already, but it is a weakness because I have not equipped myself with the necessary tools to further improve on that skill. So there is a scope for me. Wherever there is a scope for me, it's some kind of a weakness. So I've not built on that further. So what are my skills? What skills do I lack? Is there some knowledge, some resource, some skill that I do not have? Being a teacher, I need this. For instance, somebody said in the beginning, I need competent, comprehensive, in-depth, profound knowledge of my subject. But suppose I do not know thoroughly well a new topic that has been included in my syllabus, in my curriculum. So I think subject keeps changing over time. I think what we studied when we were graduates and then what graduates study today is completely phenomenally different. Some of the topics perhaps were never even thought of. So as curriculums keep undergoing transformation, new subjects getting added, new topics getting added, we need to continuously update ourselves. If I have not done that, so my knowledge, my skills, my resources, if they have not been updated, so I'm deficient there. So that's a weakness. Is there something that I avoid doing? So whenever somebody asks me to do that, oh, I won't teach this subject, you teach this. So when I was working in college, so there used to be some kind of a allocation of topics based on one's preferences. I teach this topic and you teach this topic. Why? Not because both of us are equally competent in both of the topics, because I am good at it and I am not so good at it. I avoid teaching that. The college management asks you to conduct a program. Oh, sir, I cannot do that. I'll do this. So if you've been avoiding doing something, perhaps there is a weakness there. Because the very reason why you are avoiding something is, it could be because of a weakness. Maybe, for instance, you are not a public speaker. You are a being a teacher is different. Being public speaker is different. Suppose you're not a public speaker. The principal asks you to, conduct as an annual day celebrations. He would like you to anchor that program. So there might be a teacher who says, no, sir, I may speak good English, but I never faced a huge audience like that. I will not do that. So because you have avoided doing that, there is a weakness. Maybe it can be diffidence. It can be anything, right? Then people might have told you, lots of people might have told you, if you have good friends, no, they'll tell you. If you have good family members, I think family members are best judges more than your students and students, colleagues. Typically, they flatter you, they praise you, they just give you excellent, they mark you excellent. They either do not have the courage to tell you in your face that you are not good, or they think it will not be modest to tell you that you're not good in something. So, but your children will certainly tell you, Mom, you're not good at it. Dad, you're not good at it. You don't do it well. You do it like this. You can do like this also. This is an easier way. This is a better way. So I think in case you have cultivated that habit of receiving feedback, right, from your family, from your friends, if you build a good group of friends who give you constant feedback and then tell you what's good, what's bad about it, I think that's a very good tool. So what others see as your weaknesses are some points at which you need to focus more and then gauge yourself and discover. Some negative work habits. I was telling you about somebody who is a lazy, somebody who wakes up late, somebody who does not manage time well, who does not organize things well. I don't know if I made a mention of this earlier also. Some people do not even know how to organize things in their own pockets, on their own tables, in their own almirahs. They're always searching for something. They're completely confused. So that kind of work habit. If you have the habit of going late to the class, coming early from the class, or maybe not using the board well, not using the furniture available well, all these are negative work habits. So in case there are negative work habits like that, your weaknesses are there. Okay. So some examples of weakness. So all these are examples. They are relevant to everybody, but especially to teachers. For instance, look at one or two in each line. Being chaotic, being closed-minded. You don't accept a different answer. So some teachers, they insist on one correct answer. They say only this is the only correct answer. So even very, very high order theoretical assumptions have been questioned, have been disproved, and new theories have found place. And we know, but still in our classroom, sometimes we don't accept our students discussing things with us and then opposing the point of view or having a different opinion on something. So being closed-minded is a weakness. So teachers must be open-minded. Teachers must be willing to accept multiple points of view. I mean, it does not mean that a wrong point of view must be accepted. You must know how to handle a wrong point of view that we discussed earlier. So, for instance, being ignorant of the subject, being impatient. Somebody talked about tolerance, very good. But if you are not tolerant, you are most likely you are impatient. For instance, you ask a question in the class and you don't allow students to, even frame their sentences. Some teachers have put students in so much pressure that they ask the question immediately, they ask the same question a second time or third time, put so much pressure on the student cannot formulate the answer, the student cannot frame the sentence. And that is again a negative classroom teaching habit. Being prejudiced. So some teachers are so very prejudiced that either they are teaching only one group of the class, or they are paying attention to only one section of the class, or doing something unjust. So teachers must be absolutely unprejudiced. So that kind of assessing your strengths and weaknesses should focus on all these factors. Being rude in the class. Some teachers are arrogant, some teachers are rude. Maybe you can recollect your own past experiences with the teachers at your school, college level. You will recall at least one teacher who was unnecessarily and very, without any reason, that they were rude to you. Maybe they were one or two. And so how do you recall that experience? How do you feel when you recall that experience? The same experience we cannot afford to give to our students. Being shy also, again, is a negative teacher habit. So we cannot afford to be shy in the class, shy with students. So these are all a list of typical weaknesses, and it helps us look at ourselves objectively and check whether we have any of these qualities. And in case we have those qualities, we need to have a strategy to overcome them. These are a list of sample weaknesses. So if can somebody read this list aloud? Any one of you? The 10 points.
Teaching was not my first priority. I have limited subject knowledge. I have no teaching experience. I'm not familiar with teaching methodologies. My English is not perfect. I'm lazy. My attention span is short. I'm low in self-esteem. I'm annoyed with difficult questions. I spend a lot of time commuting.
Thank you, Atisha. Thanks a lot. That was wonderful. Take, for instance, the 8th one or the 9th one. Can anybody explain that? What does it mean when I say I'm low in self-esteem?
Not having confidence in oneself.
Yeah, being not confident, being very diffident about oneself. I know the subject, but I don't know that I know it. Very, very often I feel a little confused and a little diffident. What I know may not be right. So that kind of feeling. So, and also self-esteem. I used to have one student when I was long ago. I think I told you last time I retired from service 12 years ago, but long ago, maybe 45 years ago, when I was a lecturer, one of my students, I remember very well, she said, I asked the class, what would you like to become when you grow up? Or everybody said something, but this girl stood up and said, sir, I'll become anything in life except a teacher. And I asked her, why don't you want to become a teacher? And this girl said, sir, I'm so short, I'm only 4 feet tall, and students may laugh at me, and that's why they may not pay attention to me. Because I'm short, I don't want to become a teacher. Actually, surprisingly, she became a lecturer, a very, very successful lecturer later. I met her many times after that also. So, that is some kind of, low self-esteem. I cannot do this because of this. I cannot do that because of this. So So in case that is factual, that's okay. But if I really do not have a quality and if I assess it right, it's okay. But sometimes we are underrating ourselves. I'm annoyed with the difficult questions. Again, I have personal experiences with teachers who were so very impatient with a bad answer, so very impatient with a difficult question. If they did not know the answer, I mean, they would get angry with us. I mean, these days, of course, the classroom environment has changed a lot positively, and you're all lucky to be teaching in these modern times. But when we were young children, it was not like that. Teachers would beat us for everything, and then they would not allow us to open our mouths at all, typically. 90% of the teachers. So many teachers, if anybody asked a question, they thought it was disrespect, it was arrogance, and they would punish us for that. So asking questions was taboo in the classroom. So in those times, asking a difficult question is one the teacher cannot answer. So because the teacher cannot answer or because the teacher does not know the answer, he gets wild. So this is again a very highly negative habit for a teacher. And then see, the teacher must have a strategy of handling difficult questions. So there's nothing wrong in not knowing the answer. If I do not know the answer, how do I handle that? It's not evasion. You cannot evade answering a question, but you have to handle it properly. For instance, with the simplest things is, I am really very sorry, I do not know, I've never thought of that. Oh, that's a good question. I'm really very happy that you asked me, but I never thought like that. Maybe I'll check that and get back to you tomorrow. Or maybe that needs a little, perhaps, research, and then it needs a little discussion. Maybe shall we discuss it tomorrow? Right? Or maybe shall we discuss one-on-one later after the class over? Some such thing. You can have a strategy on handling such questions. And there's absolutely, it's a great idea to tell the students that you do not know things in case you do not know. So inability to handle difficult questions is a weakness for a teacher. So these are all sample weaknesses. Maybe what I'll do is, instead of putting into rooms again, maybe you can, I know it's a little difficult to discuss our weaknesses publicly, openly, compared to discussing our strengths, but maybe one or two of you can take 1 or 2 minutes time, reflect, and then if you consider anything that you are weak at, or maybe if you think that there is an area where you have scope to improve, that also is your weakness, you can list 1 or 2 things like that. It's open now. Anybody can speak. Any academic areas. Anything that stands like a barrier, right, in your way, in your career. Would anyone like to speak? No one?
I procrastinate a lot.
Yeah. Thank you, Indu. So procrastination, especially in relation to preparation for your classes. So if you think that you can prepare for your tomorrow's class tomorrow, so that procrastination can harm your interest. Tomorrow morning, some sudden unexpected things may develop, and then you may have to walk into the class without preparing. So you can visualize the trauma that you go through when you go to a class without preparing. So it's a very awful experience. So we cannot afford to that. So procrastination outside the classroom is risky, and inside the classroom is doubly risky. Good. Anyone else?
I have a couple of views, not just one. So yeah, so I lack confidence. I overthink. I also procrastinate. I'm hesitant to mingle with my colleagues, and I think I'm too lenient. And a very specific disadvantage, or say weakness, that I have is I have studied in English, throughout my life. And but right now I'm teaching in the SMS department. So that language is a problem. So not too much, but then while communicating, I do not have any problem. But when it comes to formal situations, then it becomes a problem. So that is, I think that I have to, work on it to overcome that issue.
Thank you, Lina. That's a very good self-analysis. I think that's exactly the purpose of this presentation today. If we begin looking at ourselves, there is always scope for us to identify areas where we need to grow, we need to improve, we need to develop, and things that we need to overcome: diffidence, lack of courage, language skill, anything. It can be a resource, it can be a skill, I told you in the beginning. So anything that we either lack or we have scope to improve, or people have told us that we are not good at it, and it's stopping us from achieving what we want to achieve. It's standing like a wall there, a barrier there, stopping us. Another answer? Anyone else?
I have a few. Apart from first is I'm very poor in software. Using software and that what we call IT.
Yeah, technology. Yeah, improving our technical skills is very, very essential, especially because you are working in 2022. So every subject, every area, whatever subject you teach, you get highly enriched if you know how to use technology, because lots of technical tools are available. Almost every lesson is already available either on YouTube or on some other medium. So, when you go to the class, if you know technology, you can take the technology into the classroom. You can help your students learn easier, better. You can give them references. You can prepare based on those tools available. Lots of various kinds of platforms are available to us to learn faster, easier, and help our students. Thank you all. What you have done today is only the beginning. This is a very formal, systematic way of looking at ourselves. All these days, perhaps we knew that we were good at something, we were not so good at something, but we did not give it a structure. Today, we've started doing that. In case you are doing your SWOC for the first time, this is a structured approach to knowing ourselves. Right, we'll move on to the next one. So before we do that, in case we know our weaknesses, so I told you that the advantage is once we know our weaknesses, we will have a strategy to overcome them. So how do we beat our weakness? How do we overcome them? The simplest is to realize that failures are an essential part of success. So failures are inevitable, but as we fail, if we resolve, if we reflect, if we develop an appropriate strategy, moving on further becomes very easy. So failures should not, depress us, and we do not get frustrated. We should realize failures as acceptance. We should accept failures. So successful people, all successful people are there. They did not just straight walk there and then move up the ladder like that. So they all had those stumbling blocks. So if I cannot speak good English, it's a stumbling block as of now. It does not mean that I cannot improve my English speaking skills. If I am diffident, it does not mean that I have to be like this all my life, right? If I have not improved my Assamese or English or whatever language skills, so it does not mean that it must be like this forever. Because I know that my goal is there, and then that goal can be achieved only if I equip myself with this. So I have to develop a strategy to overcome this weakness. So lack of confidence, lack of self-esteem, lack of skills, lack of even resources. Suppose I do not have a certain resource. I do not, for example, I'll talk about something that I just talked about to you already. I do not have any mentor in my department. So there are 10 people working in the department. There are only 2 people working in the department. But unfortunately, somebody said I don't have any friends, or I cannot easily mingle with people. I cannot socialize much. I cannot make friends easily. So this also is a weakness. In case I know that, so what is the strategy? The strategy is to realize that in case I overcome this problem, in case I begin making this, I'm going to benefit very hugely. So the road to success is easy provided I know the way, provided I make the way, or provided I take the help of others. There's nothing wrong in seeking help from others. So I think every teacher, I mean, it's a personal advice I'm giving you. Every teacher must have a few knowledgeable, supportive, positive, helpful mentors, either in your own college or outside, wherever. So some senior teachers you must identify, you must take them into confidence, you must constantly be in touch. The best thing is to keep in contact with your own teachers at the university. Because all of you are fresh from the university, maybe most of you perhaps are in contact with your teachers. If you're not there, talk to them once in a while. Perhaps you go to the university back and then you talk to them, or maybe give them a call, give them a message, and pay your respect to them, and then seek support from them. I think like you are willing to help your students, they also will be certainly willing to help you in case you ask. Most help does not come because we don't ask. So make it a habit. Be prepared to fall. There is nothing wrong in failing. So suppose I don't speak good English, and if I don't try, how do I improve? So if I don't speak good English, I must begin. I must be willing to fail. I must be willing to be laughed at. People may make fun of me, but okay, I want to improve. That's why I'm doing it. Right? So it's like that ECG that you see. The ECG always has ups and downs. If there are no ups and downs, we are dead. So life is like that. Ups and downs are bound to be there. And all successful people get up every time they fall. Though it may not be absolutely relevant to this context of SWOC analysis, I am reminded of something I would like to share with you. I think during this what is that called? Beauty Queens World. There is a competition. No, what is that called? The world's beautiest woman. It's chosen. What is that competition?
Miss Universe.
Miss World, yeah, Miss World competition. So when that competition was happening, it seems some what do you call, the journalists went to the judges, and it's a real life incident. So the journalists went to the judges and asked, while a woman is walking on the stage during that Miss World competition, suppose she slips and falls on the stage. How many marks will she lose because of that? This was the question that was asked. And the answer that the judge gave is, I mean, extremely impressive. The judge said on camera, the judge said, if a woman during a competition for the Miss World by chance falls on the stage, she does not lose any marks. Point number one. But she can actually create an opportunity for herself to score a few extra marks by gracefully rising. So when for falling, no marks last. But by rising back gracefully, she may score some extra marks. So whether she smiles or not, whether she takes it as a part of that whole process or not, and then does she say, excuse me, sorry, some such thing, or how does she say, how she responds to that situation may help her get an extra mark. This is the answer that he gave. So I like that incident because, I mean, everybody falls, but I mean, how we rise after we fall makes all the difference to our lives. So weaknesses need not be worried about. You need not, take them as the end of the journey. So once you know your weaknesses, discover them. And of course, you must make a strong determination. I am going to overcome them. Vow to stop means a very strong determination, telling yourself, no, my English will certainly be better. I am going to try that. I mean, I don't know, again, it may be out of context, but I'd like to tell you that those days when I was a student, no, my entire education was in the local medium. Only when I went to the university, I started studying English. So, I mean, when I became a teacher, my English was not really good. So once I decided that I must make every possible effort to improve my English speaking skills or English language skills, so the turnaround happened. So we must take a very firm decision, and we must, every time we do something good, we must congratulate ourselves, and then we must celebrate successes, and we must continue persisting. We must not lose hope. We must stop our efforts, and we must succeed. So this is about handling weaknesses. Coming to the third part of the topic, opportunities. So how do we analyze our opportunities? I think I told you that opportunities are external and they are positive. If properly used, they are positive. External, potentially positive factors, situations. So what questions do I ask myself to know my opportunities? So I must look around first of all. It's not looking within, it's looking around. Looking around means, I mean, what's happening in the parliament? What's happening in geography? What's happening in meteorology? What's happening in the sky? What's happening in technology? What's happening in economy? So what are the new policies happening? What are the new universities opening? What are the new courses that are being taught? What are the topics that are becoming obsolete? There were lots of topics, lots of courses that were taught when I was younger. They are no longer there. To give you one example, this was about 35, 40 years ago in Andhra Pradesh, where I live in Hyderabad. There was a course called BCA, Bachelor of Computer Applications, started with a lot of fanfare. And within 2-3 years, the course got closed, right? I'm not going to the details. I'm not going to discuss why or how this got closed, this got started and all that. I'm telling you, so the whole courses, whole channels may either get opened or get closed. So things are happening around. I told you, you have very limited control over them. You don't operate them, you don't create them, you don't directly handle them. You have very limited control over them, but that limited control makes all the difference to you. Even that little control that you have over them makes a huge difference to your success or failure. So what opportunities to learn are open? Are your opportunities? I think, again, to give you a very easy example to understand, there is something called SWOC now. This orientation course itself, for example, this orientation course itself is an opportunity. So everyone who has joined this course perhaps has gone through this 30-day program and has been exposed to some 20, 30, 40, 50 different areas, and then new knowledge, new skills, and a new outlook, new perspective. All this has become possible. So there was an opportunity. Somebody told you, or maybe you saw an advertisement, or maybe a principal informed you that there was a course like this. So some of you took the course. So the opportunity that was available was taken. Even if you've joined this course, and today, for instance, if you are not listening to the lectures, or if you're just switching on the camera and going away from there, perhaps the opportunity has come, knocked at your door and went away. It has been a missed opportunity again, though you joined the course. So how much we make of what we get. So what opportunities are open to learning? Because teachers have to be constant, lifelong students. Every teacher must be a lifelong student. So if there is an opportunity, I must capture it. Again, to tell you from my personal life, I've done not less than 20 different diplomas after I started teaching. Diplomas and degrees. So all of them, 99% of them were online. Those days, they were called distance courses. Now they are available online. So they are open, etc. So how is it possible? Because either you have passion, or maybe you like to make the most of your available time, or you have a certain goal and you are very, very determined to achieve those goals. And that's how it becomes possible. Maybe you can ask yourself, how many courses are available to me as of today? So today is 27th June 2022. I am a teacher. I've already been a teacher for 3, 4, 5 years. I've been teaching this subject. Is there any course available to me that I can do either physically or online or in whatever manner, and that will help me? And if that course is available, why am I not doing it? So that's an opportunity. right? Why am I not doing it? If I'm not doing it, is there a strong reason for that? Do I have enough convincing ground not to take the course, or am I losing an opportunity? So do you have mentors? Then are there other people failing in some area where you have scope to enter and do something different so that you are one successful and unique opportunity? So these are all, these questions give you answers, and answers are your opportunities. Here are some examples, sample opportunities. Will somebody read them out aloud again? Anyone else?
Can I, sir?
Yeah, please. Lena, please.
There are a few qualified PhD guides in my college. I have a job offer in an institution which suits my temperament better. I have been offered a scholarship for my doctoral work. Our institution offers free Wi-Fi on campus. We have well-equipped laboratories. The new education policy has some opening for me. Many new good institutions are opening in my locality. My children are offered free education at my institution or college. Our institution offers an annual gold medal for the best teacher. My parents are moving to my neighborhood.
Thank you, Lena. Thank you very much. You read them really well. I think the first 5 or 6 of them are directly academic, and they are directly related to your profession. Some of them relate to your family. For instance, the last 1 or 2, my children are offered free education here, my parents are moving to my neighborhood. These are also opportunities, may not directly impact your academic career, but indirectly they will. Suppose your parents are very close to you. This can be an opportunity. It does not mean it's an opportunity to everybody. Again, somebody may argue, sir, if parents come, I have to pay them attention, and that may be a challenge to me, sir, that may prove difficult. So, okay, I think your argument is accepted, but I'm telling you that these can be opportunities. Maybe, for instance, if you have a little child, perhaps you can leave them with your parents and then you can go to college. That's why I looked at it positively, and I thought it was an opportunity. So, for instance, take the first one. There are a few qualified PhD guides in my college, and I'm not a PhD yet. So I'm still pursuing my PhD, or I have to register for my PhD, and there is somebody within my college. And if they are willing to guide me, how wonderful that is. That's a great opportunity for me. And young people like you can think of a second PhD, a third PhD. You can yourself become a PhD guide, and you can start guiding others. I think plenty of opportunity. Unlike in the past, when we were younger, there were, even to find a guide was difficult. Every university used to have at best 1 or 2 guides, but now it's not like that. Every town has PhD guides, so you can become one. That's an opportunity. I have a job offer in an institution which suits my temperament better. Maybe I'm working in a college where there are some emotional, social, and other constraints. I am not able to cope with that easily. So maybe there is a college where that suits my temperament better. Maybe my work conditions better. Perhaps maybe my timings better, right? My attitude better. So there are all kinds of schools, colleges, all kinds of environments. Every college is unique and different. So in case I can find a college where my kind of people survive easier, I can choose. That's an opportunity. So there is a college there. So for instance, I'll give you a simple example. So this college where I am working starts at 9 o'clock, but going to college at 9 o'clock is perhaps inconvenient to me. There is another college there that starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. And if I work there, perhaps it's easier for me to finish my job at home and then go there at 10 o'clock. So, I mean, this is a timing. Like timing, this can be the environment, this can be the temperament, this can be an attitude, this can be the culture that prevails in the college. So it can be lots of things. So if there is something that is better, that's an opportunity. I can leave here and go there. Right. Starting from very simple things like Wi-Fi, laboratories, libraries. Some colleges have libraries, some colleges do not have. If there is a library in the college, that's an opportunity. Again, if leveraged, if properly used. Otherwise, it's just there. That's all. It's neither an opportunity, nor a challenge, nor a strength, nor a weakness. Like the 4th poll question that you saw. So these are all examples. So maybe what you can do is you can just take 2 or 3 minutes time and then first think, what are the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental things happening around you as of now? Today in 2022, you can easily remember that as an acronym, PESTLE, P-E-S-T-L-E. Each letter stands for a word. P stands for political, E for economic, S for social, T for technological, technical, and L for legal, and E for environmental. So in all these areas, what's happening around? For instance, politically, what is the new education policy? So that's a political development. So an enactment of the parliament. So the parliament decided that a new structure is being developed and designed now. So similarly, technological. So new languages, new, I don't know, I mean, I'm not a technical person, but maybe new tools are available, new technologies are available, new classroom appliances are available. Then if you are in the computers field, lots of different computer, what do you call them, languages or something else. So they are available. So environment, Corona, I gave you that example. So what's happening in the environment around? So it can be a global development, it can be a local development. Even demographically, for instance, if you look at a country or a state or a city, so depending on the data that's available to you, maybe what is the size of the educated population of your city? How many, what kind of changes are happening? Global temperature, for instance, if it goes up, or what are the consequences of that? Does it affect your class? Does it affect your classroom? Does it affect the future courses that you are likely to teach, the components that are going to be added to the curriculum? So economically, so if a country is passing through a very difficult time economically, for instance, our inflation is very high today. So our GDP, whether it's going up or going down, we don't know, maybe a lot of discussion is happening on that. So in such a situation, how will it impact my classroom, my college, my field, higher education on the whole? So if the government allocates a lower budget for education, health, whatever, so how is it going to affect our future? So all this is something that I have limited control over, but it still has an impact on my career. So think of some things like that, and then maybe I'd like one or two of you to tell me what opportunities do you see because of the developments in these areas? Or you can limit your answers to one factor like the new education policy. How do you think the new education policy is going to affect you?
So maybe I'd put this under the social category, or it could also come under technological, where now we have access to more resources and more resource persons as compared to earlier. So that's an opportunity, and maybe we can use that opportunity well and learn from places that I would have never imagined that I would, get to learn from. So I think that's an opportunity.
Right. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, technology is ever evolving, ever changing, constantly on the move, and then, I mean, nothing is fixed there. I think it's a very fast changing environment. So we must get used to, and also we must update ourselves on technology very frequently. I think the pandemic times were a good example. During the pandemic times, everybody switched over to online learning. So how many of us equipped ourselves with Zoom and Google Meet and other platforms? We had to quickly upskill ourselves on those platforms, and then we had to deliver the content on a different medium. So this was an opportunity for us, actually. This was an opportunity because it helped us learn new things and deliver knowledge on a new platform. And if somebody did not do that, that proved a challenge, and then it remained backseated. Anyone else? about the new global policies, national policies, state policies, university policies, college-related policies, curriculum-related factors? Do you find any opportunities for you?
So I have one regarding curriculum. So linguistics, I teach linguistics in Guwahati University, and linguistics up till a few years back was not very popular among people, but now and it was also not taught in uh, schools and colleges. It was mostly a course in a university level. But now I think many of the universities have opened up linguistics department, which I really see as an opportunity.
Great.
So,
Excellent.
so
Yes,
that is what I
perfect.
can.
Lena, perfect. Thank you very much for saying that. Yes, new subjects, new content, new curriculum. I think every day we see lots of opportunities arising because of these things. I'll give you another example. How many of us believe that good textbooks are available to students? Many times we feel the current textbook that we are using is not really good. Many times I felt rather. Many times as a teacher, I felt, oh, this is not the kind of textbook that should be prescribed to students. A better textbook would have been better. That means there is an opportunity. The moment I thought that this textbook is not good, so the world is offering me an opportunity where I can create either on my own or with the help of friends or whoever. So I can either edit, I can compile, I can write on my own or some such thing. So I can create materials. So that is an opportunity. So lack of some resource is an opportunity to create a resource. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. Then opportunities are like this. So some people have plenty of opportunities but do not know how to use them at all. Things keep happening, they keep their eyes closed, they are blind to facts, and they just sit at the door, but they don't see anything. Some other people build their own ladders. They build their own ladders when they want to look out. So, I mean, who succeed? Naturally, the one on the right. I mean, I don't need to wait to receive an answer from you. So, unfortunately, though you may laugh at these two pictures, or you think that they are too very ridiculous, many of us in our lives and in our careers are not utilizing the opportunities available to us. Like I told you, I did some 25 diplomas or degrees. Maybe all of us have similar opportunities to, in case of, don't do a diploma or degree just for the sake of it. If you think that it will help you achieve your goal, if you think that it will put you on the right track, it will help you become something better. So I think nobody should stop you, or nobody can stop you. You can go ahead. In fact, instead of taking a course today, you can give a course. You can offer a course. That's why. So I think, opens its doors to every teacher who is willing to float a course. That is an opportunity. Apart from what you are doing in your own college, I think you can do something beyond that. I created more than 50 video lessons when I was working in college those days. So the commissionerate had an opportunity for us, and then we had to just apply, and then they would select and then send us to a studio, and they would ask us to make video lessons those days. So I did that. So similarly, every one of us, if you look around, you find opportunities. If you just shut yourself in your own room, and the room in the sense of not the physical room. So if you close your eyes to things that are happening outside, nothing is possible. So as a teacher, I think we have to constantly be on the lookout for the academic opportunities we have and constantly upscale ourselves. Okay, I'll leave this. So finally, the last part, the fourth part of our talk today is challenges. So what are some questions that help us identify our challenges? So is there some trend that can harm me? Something that's happening in the world, if I am not awake to it, if I am not alert to it, so it can harm my interest? So something is happening outside my home. right? But it can, maybe I'll give you a very simple example. I work in a college where the admissions are gradually decreasing. So last year we made 500 admissions, this year we made 450, and next year we like to make only 400. So there is a risk there, there is a danger there, something is wrong. So either I should think of doing something so that my college admissions at least will remain constant, or I must leave this place and go in search of greener pastures, isn't it? So otherwise, I mean, I'm putting myself at risk. So what trends, again political, again social, again whatever. So maybe I talk to you about a course that disappeared, a complete course that disappeared from whole state, hundreds and thousands of colleges that sprouted like mushrooms overnight suddenly got closed. There are courses opening and closing like that all over. And what courses are opening, what courses are closing, what is likely to happen 2 years later, 5 years later. So if I am not alert to them, they can be very harmful. They are my challenges. So are there any obstacles that I am facing right now? Is there something that I'm not able to do because of something that's happening outside? I want to, for instance, go to New Zealand. I want to go to Canada. I wanted to work there, but visas are not available. So that's a challenge. So I have a very big academic dream. I want to set up my own college. I want to start a college of my own, but the government is not permitting new colleges, new education B.Ed colleges. They are not starting, for instance. They are not open. So I get blocked there. I have a vision there. But maybe what do I do? So if I have to overcome that, I have to persuade the government to give me permission. I have to go to a different place where colleges can be opened. I have to change my dream. Something. I must have an alternative strategy. Right? Right. These are some questions that help us. So these are again some example challenges, some sample challenges. May I request somebody to please read them out loud?
We have no PhD guides in this town.
Mm-hmm.
The new syllabus has content that I am conversant with.
Not conversant. I'm not conversant.
Sorry. My students are not regular and not punctual. I need to sign a contract if I take up a new job. My department has no good library. The government is planning overhauling the curriculum. Admissions into our institution have been drastically decreasing. Right. With rising inflation, laboratory consumables have become expensive. 2 of my younger colleagues have acquired higher qualifications. This place is quite expensive.
So again, the first 5 or 6 are purely directly academic, and the last 4 or 5 are slightly indirectly related, but they are all challenges. So take 1 or 2 of them and then let's discuss. My department has no good library. So because there is no library there, and because it's not something that I can control, it is the college that has established that library, and then the college has not equipped the library with enough books. So that's a challenge. So if there is a challenge, of course, you will have a strategy also. In case you have a strategy, you will succeed. If you don't have any strategy, okay, I'll wait till the college equips the library with books. I'll not send any indent. I'll not ask the principal to give me a budget, or I'll not do anything else. I'll leave it. So it remains as it is. So because there is a challenge, I need to have a strategy. Either proactively or reactively, whatever, I must have a strategy. Right? The new government is planning overhauling the curriculum. So the new government has already made a new policy, and they said all the subjects that we will not teach history. Some governments keep changing, and then views keep changing. Their priorities keep. One government in our own state, for instance, where I worked. So one government said, "Why teach history? History is useless. So let's discard history. We do not teach history at all." So what will happen to all the history teachers? So there is a challenge there. There is a risk there. There is a threat there. Okay, so some other government comes and they say something else. So somebody says maths is not necessary, somebody biology not necessary, somebody some other subject not necessary. Somebody says only teach religion, somebody says only teach politics, somebody says teach only science. So maybe, I mean, these things are constantly changing. Every government brings a new perspective, new ideology, and then a new outlook, and then policy changes happen. Whenever policy changes are there, they may prove to be a challenge to us. So in case we want to continue in this dream in this profession, maybe you have to be alive to the situation. If the government says, okay, teach this, I have to teach this if I want to continue this. It's not a question of my personal liking or not. There may be a lesson on God, there may be a lesson on atheism, right? There are 2 lessons side by side in the same textbook. I have to teach both because they are prescribed. When I teach a poem on the power of God, the omnipresence of God, maybe I have to teach that, and maybe the next lesson itself might be a contradiction of that. I mean, it's quite possible. Because it's a part of the curriculum, I have to teach that. That's a challenge to me. So every time there is a change in policy, every time there is a change in environment, every time there is a change in the political environment in the country, every time there is a new party coming into power, policies change. And every such change can be potentially a challenge, a potential challenge. That happens, this also may happen. Right? So inflation, laboratory consumables have become expensive. So what do I do with my laboratory? I am a science teacher and then I have to constantly use the laboratory equipment and lots of consumables are needed. And the government suddenly says, no, we don't have enough budget. The college says, no, you cannot spend so much money. So how do I manage? That's a risk, that's a challenge. So how do I manage? I must have a strategy to overcome, and I must be able to foresee these things. Challenges become opportunities if I have a preemptive policy. If I can predict them, if I can, I mean, I was giving you the example of that Corona pandemic, no? So if some countries had a better policy than other countries, what was the better policy? The better policy was they took very quick decisions. They started stopping international flights and they started enforcing some rules. They had their hospital management systems right in place. And so naturally, they handled the situation better than a few other countries. So that was a preemptive policy. So seeing the risk and seeing the challenge, they jumped into action and did the same thing we have to do in our colleges also. So maybe, I don't know if we have time for one more activity, but perhaps you can do it at home later after going home. Again, look at the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. PESTLE, I told you, PESTLE. So the PESTLE factors affecting your profession and posing challenges to you. Think of them and ask yourself, what are these challenges that I need to face tomorrow? It's not today. Challenges are tomorrow. Strengths and weaknesses are today. So tomorrow, what might happen to my profession because of the political developments, because of the economic developments, because of the technological developments? So how many colleges and schools got closed because of that pandemic? I think you know. So in places that I know, hundreds, not tens, hundreds of engineering colleges got closed. Hundreds. Because I think there was some policy decision about the fees reimbursement, about some other factors, about the job opportunities available, about the visas, some other government views, the American. See, people taking to a course like engineering depend not only on the strength of the course itself, or the quality of the teachers available there, or the quality of the management that runs the college, but also the number of visas available there, isn't it? So there are lots of other factors, global factors, that influence and impact our careers. So technological, legal issues, right? Then environmental factors, all these constantly affect our careers. This is interesting. See, I mean, because there is risk, because there is challenge, if anybody says, no, I don't want to go there because there is a risk there, because there is a challenge there, I think that's quite foolish. So a ship is safe in its harbor, but the ships are not built for that. Human beings are not built to be just live in absolute safe comfort and absolutely secure environment. So we have to be adventurous. We have to take risks. We have to foresee risks. We have to have a strategy to overcome them. Challenges are very often disguised opportunities. Okay, so they look like challenges, but if we tackle them well, they become opportunities. And instead of giving up, we must accept them, and we must have a preemptive policy. Finally, of course, because we have discussed all four, maybe I'd like to spend the remaining time on discussing some tips that we can use to make a unbiased, unprejudiced, and objective SWOC analysis. Before I show you this slide, do you have any questions at this point of time? I think I've been talking. We need to keep in mind when we are doing this SWOC analysis of our own. So one of the first things that we need to keep in mind is we have to be absolutely objective. I told you that very often others judge us and tell us whether we are good or bad at something, and we need to take into account what others say. But at the same time, we should not overrate ourselves or underrate ourselves because others have told us. If all students have told me that my English is good, still, instead of taking it on a face value, I must also ask myself, why do they say that my English is good? So are my sentences properly constructed? Is my vocabulary enough rich? Somebody was talking about linguistics. So maybe have I ever made any linguistic analysis of maybe a 5-minute speech that I have given? So I can record my own speech and then I can check how good my sentences are, how easy my sentences are for students to understand. So if I make some kind of a very objective analysis, then only I'll know. Otherwise, I think this is my strength, this is my weakness, this is my opportunity, but that may not always be right. My judgment may not always be right. It may lead me to false evaluation. So I must be rigorous. I must be objective when I evaluate myself. So I evaluate my strengths and weaknesses and my opportunities and threats. So I must take into account every factor that contributes to it very highly objectively. And I must look at it from multiple perspectives, multiple objectives, like the earlier polls that I can, the third or fourth questions that I gave you as a poll question. No? So it depends on a perspective. So I have taken a perspective. For me, it's a challenge, but at the same time, I can ask myself, so is it really a challenge to me? Or can I also see an opportunity there? Is it really a weakness? Or I'm unnecessarily diffident. I have the strength, but I have not used that. That's why I do not know that. Some people do not know their strengths. Some people do not know their weaknesses. Sometimes I conduct interviews for students for multinational companies. So when I go there, typically, I mean, in a very large percentage of cases, if you ask students to list their strengths, they go on 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's something that they have practiced at the rehearsed. When I ask them to list one weakness of theirs, they either draw blank, they say things like, I don't have any weaknesses, or they say something very, very trivial. I watch TV. I spend a lot of time with WhatsApp. So some such, I think, most likely a ready-made answer. But I mean, they have not really analyzed themselves. They've not looked deeper than that. So one must be ready in case one wants to succeed in life. So be realistic and be specific when you define your strengths and weaknesses. I speak good English is not a specific strength. Are there any English lecturers here? There may be some language teachers. So if I say I speak good English, maybe I think it's just a good sentence, that's all. But instead of saying I speak good English, I have rich vocabulary, or I can make a variety of sentences. I often ask good questions. So maybe, I mean, I structure questions better. So if it's a more specific analysis, it will be better. Right? I'm diffident is a very, very general kind of statement. I am diffident in certain situations. What situation? Situation 1. I am diffident when this happens. I am diffident when I have to face a large audience. I am diffident only when I go to an English medium class. So if you know a little more clearer, and if you are specific in describing your strengths and weaknesses, etc., it becomes easier for you to handle them. And use verifiable facts. So not just what others said, not what just you thought were true, but verify it, whether it's really right or not. And then once you identify your strengths and weaknesses, you prioritize them. Which is the one that needs to be addressed first? Which is the strength that you can capitalize most? So which is the weakness that needs to be fought on a top priority, on a war footing? So, I mean, once you have a priority identified, it becomes easier for you to strategize on that. This picture you might seen many times on different occasions. So as long as you decide you won't do, you can't do, I mean, nothing happens at all. So when you are at this stage 1, stage 2, nothing happens. But the moment you decide you want to do it, progress begins. Yes, this is my strength. This is my opportunity. I am prepared to take this risk and face this challenge. I know this weakness of mine and I have already a strategy in place. So the moment you decide to do it, I think the way opens up on its own. Of course, you will begin asking questions like, how do I do it? I'll certainly try doing it. I can do it and I will do it. So after you come here, of course, success is automatic. And at this stage itself, I want to do it and how to do it. That fourth point, how to do it. How do I do it? What are the tools available to me? One of the tools that's available to you is a SWOC analysis. So whatever you want to achieve, this can be a staircase to success in any area. You want to improve your English, this is the scale. And if you want to improve your career prospects, this is the scale. You want to become a better teacher, this. You want to become a better mother, father, whatever, this is the scale. Even outside the classroom, right? Whatever you want to achieve in life, so this is the scale. So begin here. So you decide that you would like to achieve success and then you ask yourself, how do I do it? How do I do it? Again, my first slide. So how do I do it? How do I become a better teacher? The first thing that I need to do to become a better teacher is to reflecting, identifying, knowing myself, looking within and listing my SWOC. SWOC can be done not only for teachers, SWOC can be done for anybody. SWOC, for instance, you want to do a SWOC for yourself as a mother. You want to do a SWOC for yourself as a son. You, for instance, you may have a private business of your own. You want to do a SWOC for your business, a SWOC for your country. So your college, all of you together working in a college can work on creating a SWOC analysis for your college. I think your management will be very happy. Your principal will be very happy if you can do that. If there are 20, 30, 40, 50 lecturers working in your college, all of you work together and create a SWOC chart. What are the strengths of your college? What are the weaknesses of your college? What opportunities does your college have? What risks and what challenges does your college have? A beautiful chart can be created. So SWOC is not for individuals alone. It can be for businesses, it can be for institutions, it can be for nations, right? It can be for anybody for that matter. And also the SWOC analysis that you do is relevant, applicable to the time when you make it. It may change tomorrow. It's not constant. Suppose you decide, you make a list of your strengths today, they do not remain the same tomorrow. Tomorrow the list may be longer, or you might have lost some of your strengths. Possible, quite possible, because you have not used them or because they're not relevant, whatever. And so it keeps changing. It has to be constantly updated. Maybe every often you need to take a re-look at it and then do it again. Then, so finally, the whole thing that I've discussed with you today can be put in one slide. And this is exactly what we've been discussing for the last more than 2 hours. So strengths are good to you and good now. Okay. Weaknesses are bad to you, bad right now already. They are already working on you. They are affecting you negatively. Opportunities are good, but not now, but they are for future. And challenges are bad if you don't take any preemptive step, and that's for future. And these are helpful things, positive things. Strengths and opportunities on the left are positive, and they help you achieve your goals. Whereas weaknesses and challenges are negative to you, they are harmful to you, They may harm your interest, they may harm your future prospects in your career, and they stop you from achieving your goals. So they work against, they work contrary to your goals, right? So then once you know your strengths, you must have a strategy to capitalize them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you must have a strategy here. So how do I capitalize on my strengths? So these are the strategies. So I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, so that I can further enhance the power of my strengths, right? Increase the potential, right? Then once you know your weaknesses, you need to have a strategy to overcome them. So these are the 5 things that I'll do. My English is bad, that's why I will improve my vocabulary. I'll take a look at my grammar, sentence structures, or I'll take a class in, I'll take a tutorial, or I'll join a open university class. So I have a strategy, or I'll utilize every opportunity to speak English tomorrow, once a week or once a day or some such time. I'll speak only English. I'll start speaking English at home, some such thing. So that's a strategy. So how to overcome that? Then opportunities. So once you know your opportunities, you have to exploit them. How can I make the most of every opportunity that comes? Every political development, every social development, every ecological, economical, environmental development that's happening outside. So how can I make the most of it? How can I must be aware, I must be alert, I must look around, and before they are available, I must jump at accepting them, and I must utilize them. So that is opportunities and exploiting them. And then finally, the challenges. Because they are going to be back to me in future, I must have a strategy to counter them today itself. So how do I counter that? So a strategy. So I will stop doing this, I'll start doing this. I will accept this, I will with all force, I will fight it. So what is it that I am planning to do to counter my challenges? So this is what we need to do. Maybe after going home again, I think it's already 5 o'clock. That's why we have just 10 minutes. We'll spend some time discussing your questions if you have any. So after going home, what you can do is you can I mean, what you did already. So you can just take a look at something like this and you can see. And after that, this is more important. So take a sheet of paper, right? Fold it, or maybe you can take 4 different sheets also. Make your own SWOC in great detail. Don't just start writing immediately, but reflect. Do a lot of rough work first. I mean, make necessary corrections, revise, rephrase, improve, and make a list of your strengths. So write your name, write the date also. I told you already that, I mean, it is an ever-changing environment. So the SWOC that you create for yourself is not going to be the same tomorrow or day after. So that's why you need to put the date also. So as on today, the name can be, again, an individual or your department or your college or your family, whatever. So make a list of the strengths. Simple questions like, what do I do well? What does my family do well? What does our college do well? What is our college best known for? These are our strengths. And similarly, weaknesses like, what could I do better? What is it that I cannot do at all? What is it that my college has not offered? What courses are not available here? What resources are not available? Why is our college not faring as well as it should? So what are the stumbling blocks in the progress? These are weaknesses. And similarly, opportunities. So what is happening around? What things are happening around that are positively impacting me, that potentially can impact me positively? And similarly, challenges. What external developments can negatively impact me, my family, my college, my institution, my country, etc., depending on for whom you are preparing this. So these are a few questions. Perhaps if you have 1 or 2 minutes, you can discuss them. You can list your strengths as a teacher. You can list a few skills that you need to further improve. And lastly, the third important thing is set yourself some targets. So maybe within 2 months, I would like to achieve this. Within 6 months, I'd like to achieve. Within the next 5 years, I'd like to do this, because this is my weakness or this is my strength. This is opportunity. So what strategy? So you must have a very detailed schedule So a short-term plan, a long-term plan to overcome that. So I'll stop there. Maybe I think it's exactly 5 o'clock now, maybe 5 to 10 minutes. This is my email address, nagaRAJU@gmail.com. Don't think this class is over today. We can continue interacting with me. In case you have any questions, please feel free to write to me. I'll certainly respond to them at my earliest convenience. Maybe before I throw it open for discussion, I would like to tell you that I believe that this presentation, this topic has benefited some of you, or at least on some ideas it has generated. And if you can begin reflecting on what you have learned today, I think it will certainly help you become a better teacher and grow up in your career. So now I throw it open during these 15 minutes that we have. If you have any questions, please ask them, and let's try to discuss and find answers. Anyone else? Look at your college, for instance, wherever you're working, you need not tell the name of the college. So wherever you're working, what opportunities and what challenges do you see for your institution in the near future, in the long-term future?
After attending this course, that we have learned, if they do not implement this blended learning, if they do not succeed in getting that NIRF ranking, the NAC score, the NBA score, then they are going to be sealed by the UGC. And those who are working here will be having really hard time. That we can understand very well.
Perfect. Absolutely right. Yes. Yes. So every such development can be accepted as an opportunity or accepted as a challenge, depending on what platform we are standing on, how we are looking at it, whose perspective are we taking, are we a student, are we a teacher? See, for instance, if it's the same development, maybe something to a teacher, something to a student, something different to a student, something to a management, something different to, for instance, the government says only contract lecturers from now onwards, no permanent appointments. So the management might consider it an opportunity to recruit better teachers, and the teachers might find it as a challenge because their jobs are not permanent, they are not safe. So, I mean, the same development can be looked at from different perspectives, and the same individual may look at something differently at different times. And thank you so much, all those of you who have given me compliments in the chat box. Thank you once again, and thank you. Yes, please.
On behalf of the participant, I would like to thank you so much for this enlightening session. It has been a great learning experience. Personally, I have learned a lot, and to self-introspect is something which I find it I don't do. So I personally have learned a lot from this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Breno. Thank you. Thank you anyway. Thanks a lot. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
For such a nice session.
Thank you.